For 4 decades now, WrestleMania has historically been the biggest wrestling show of the year. It's been the night where the biggest matches have went down, the biggest spectacles have taken place, and when it's done right, there is simply nothing better. But just like everything else in the world of wrestling, the history of WrestleMania is filled with hundreds of matches and moments that almost happened that would have changed everything. From last minute changes to plans just falling apart, WrestleManias of the past as we know them could have easily been vastly different. So with it being WrestleMania season, I thought why not go back in time and find some old rumors, find some old reports, and take a look at things that almost happened at WrestleManias of the past. From failed returns to dream matches that fell apart and so much more, these are some of the most fun what ifs in WrestleMania history, and let's get straight into it. Let's start off with a fun one. Let's start off with WrestleMania 20. Now this is a Mania that we know had one of the most legendary endings ever, but it's also a Mania that could have easily ended in disaster. See, going into Mania 20, there was a lot of debate on what was going to be the main event of the show, which might sound crazy in hindsight, but looking back at it, this card was so damn stacked, it wasn't that clear. Meltzer said a week before the show, this was the first Mania without a strongly defined main event, and rather there are 5 matches that could all be labeled as the main event, and a week before the show, there was yet to be a confirmed show closer. And at the time, you gotta remember, the build for Lesnar vs Goldberg was batshit insane. They went all out for the build for this match. Austin was involved, wrestlers were showing up on different shows, Goldberg pulling up to No Way Out. If you go back and watch the build for this was easily the biggest and the most promoted match on the entire show. But as we know, then the match actually happened, people found out Lesnar was leaving and that Goldberg was leaving, and it ended up being one of the shittiest, biggest letdowns in WrestleMania history. But imagine if they actually main evented. Imagine if WrestleMania 20 ended with these two clowns staring at each other for 10 minutes while the crowd chanted, "This match sucks, this match sucks." This would have been a disaster of epic proportions. WrestleMania 20, live from MSG, ending with this shit. Thankfully it didn't, but it was a real possibility because despite how history remembers this match, this was probably the biggest match going into the show. But thankfully we got the triple threat and it was a classic. But hey, even that match was almost a different match. The original plan for that triple threat match was actually for it to be a triple threat ladder match for the world title. It was WrestleMania 20, 10 years after WrestleMania 10, the same building, HBK back in a ladder match at the Garden. This would have been pretty wild and it was a real consideration, but I think Triple H tapping was for the best, and also no need for more CTE for this fellow, but a fun little tidbit regardless. What would you choose? Let me know down below. But let's move on to WrestleMania 21 the next year, and this is a show that is remembered as the night where the company crowned Batista and Cena as their new top dogs. But what is so crazy is, in the summer of 04, as the plans for Mania started, that was far from the plan. From the moment Evolution was born, it was always supposed to be Randy Orton closing at WrestleMania with Triple H and being crowned, but shit happened and they pulled the trigger too soon and the rest was history. But what if they stuck to it and they didn't rush Orton and they went with the original plan? And what if we got Orton versus Triple H at WrestleMania 21? Everyone knows that this match was planned, but I think this is a pretty big what if, because if this actually happened, everything would have been totally different. What if Batista ever become the huge star that he actually was without the Triple H feud? There's no guarantee. That 05 Batista push was lightning in a bottle, and a large part of it was because Orton flopped in late 04. If this happens, maybe Batista doesn't actually become a main eventer. Luckily though, it all worked out. But from 97 to 2004, fun fact, The Rock wrestled at every single WrestleMania. Yeah, and now he hates us. And when it was time for WrestleMania 21, Rocky, despite being in Hollywood, he was down for a match. The Rock wanted to go hard at WrestleMania 21. He apparently suggested matches against Sting. He apparently suggested for a match with Macho Man Randy Savage, and he even asked for Ric Flair. And all those sound super fun, super exciting, and pretty wild, with Flair being the most realistic. But see, the company, they had a different idea. As of August 2004, the original plan was for The Rock to take on JBL for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, and for not only for him to just have the match, but for him to win the match, win the title at Mania, and then drop the title back to JBL on SmackDown on some next level swerve. If this happened, first of all, what the f were they thinking? Second, Cena's career would have definitely felt this, and realistically, this could have altered Cena's entire career arc. If this had happened, Cena would have had to wait until May or July at the earliest to become champion, or you never know, maybe he doesn't become champion on SmackDown, gets sent to Raw in June, and has a totally different career arc. So I'm happy with how everything turned out, but as we know, Rock ends up missing his first Mania, and he doesn't wrestle again till 2011, and it's because on December 31st, 2004, the company accidentally forgot to renew his contract, and The Rock was gone. But it's like, what if they did? What if he does take on JBL at Mania? What does that mean for the other Manias in the 2000s? Because then it's like, wait, does The Rock not take the hiatus then? Does he stick around for a few more matches? Does he go in and out of Hollywood as he originally wanted to do? Does The Rock end up on WrestleMania 23 or at WrestleMania 24? It's weird because everything worked out, especially for Cena, but if Rock wrestles at Mania 21, I don't think it's too crazy to say that he would have definitely wrestled before 2011, and he would have been way more involved with the company, and this would have changed everything. But JBL? Really? Well, let's talk about WrestleMania 24 real quick and let's get depressed. I think everyone and their mom knows at this point that Jeff was supposed to win the Money in the Bank in 2008, but after failing a drug test, the dream was over and the straight edge wrestler got it. Coincidence? I think not. This is something that has been talked to death. Okay, everyone knows about this. Matt's talked about it, Jeff has talked about it, but what came up in my research for looking at old rumors from 2008 was there was a lot of chatter that Jeff was supposed to win and cash in the same night during the triple threat match. Now take this with a huge grain of salt. I doubt it, but what if? If Jeff Hardy walks out of Mania 24 as champion, people in the crowd would have been feigning like it was an 80s Michael Jackson concert. I would have lost my mind, and when you think about it, what better match to do that than the one that was going down, where Orton retains against two legends somehow, and then all you see is Jeff come out, do his weird ass dance, and he gets revenge for the Rumble 08 and walks out champion. Wrestling would have peaked for me easily. Take this with a huge grain of salt, I really doubt it, but what a fun what if. But let's talk about my favorite one, the one that came up in my research that really had me excited. So we've been doing a lot of 2009 content here on the channel lately, talking about the Rumble 09 and recently No Way Out 09, and a WrestleMania 25 video is coming very soon. Everyone agrees that Orton vs Triple H was the right main event in 2009. It was the hottest angle, the best storyline, it could and should have been magic, but they messed it all up. But what if I told you that the Triple H match was possibly a backup plan for Randy Orton? This one's gonna sound a little crazy, but hear me out. By 2009, Stone Cold Steve Austin had not wrestled in 6 years, but the man was only 45 years old, and with WrestleMania in Texas once again, with Stone Cold headlining the Hall of Fame, Austin for months in late 08 and early 09 was rumored to wrestle at WrestleMania 25. And apparently, it was supposed to be against Randy Orton, the Viper versus the Rattlesnake, the Legend versus the Legend Killer. From February 1st, 2009, April 4th and 5th will be huge days for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Quote, not only will he be inducted into the Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania 25 in Houston, Texas, but there is a strong likelihood that the Texas Rattlesnake will square off against Randy Orton in a farewell match at the annual extravaganza. Sources close to the situation have stated Austin will somehow get involved in the McMahon vs Randy Orton feud that will culminate in the two facing off on pay-per-view. Moreover, it is strongly rumored that Austin will be inducted into the Hall of Fame by company owner Vince McMahon, which by the way, ended up being true and this wasn't known at the time. The idea of McMahon inducting Austin plays into the proposed storyline for the Orton feud, as Austin will have McMahon's support going to the match after being inducted by him for the Hall of Fame. Now I know, listen, this sounds crazy. First of all, it's like, why would Austin help out Vince? Which I get it. But hey, all it takes is Randy crossing the line against Austin to make it personal, and then the McMahons don't even matter that much anymore. And honestly, if they really wanted to, they could have made this work. They were doing the whole storyline where Randy won the Rumble, but they're like, Randy, you're not going to main event WrestleMania, we're not going to give you a title shot. They could have easily pivoted and be like, yeah, you're not going to get a title shot, but you're going to take on this guy. Stone Cold comes out, like there's so much they could have done. And I know, this sounds crazy, but I got some evidence, I got some things that back this up. Remember this iconic WrestleMania 25 poster that we all know and love? Well, fun fact, the original poster was actually this one, with Stone Cold Steve Austin front and center, and once Austin was out and didn't sign on for the match, that's when this poster was actually released that we all know. This poster showed up online before this poster was ever released, and it was confirmed to have been on WWE.com for just a few hours, and it clearly says Sunday, April 1st. This wasn't for the Hall of Fame, and would they really put Stone Cold front and center if it was just for him to show up on the show? Obviously, it could still be a reach, but there were a lot of rumors at the time, and I think in hindsight, Austin versus Orton would have been so fire, especially considering what we know actually went down. If somehow Austin put over Orton, which I think is a little more likely than Triple H doing it, sorry Trips, it would have been generational. Orton punting Austin, cementing himself as the Legend Killer, killing the biggest legend in the game, and even if he didn't, even if Austin won, but Randy just punted him afterwards and sent him on a stretcher, that itself would have been fine. And then Orton goes on to beat Triple H, that would have been game changing, it would have been special. Of course, I would miss Orton doing this to Stephanie and Triple H breaking into Orton's home, of course, but why not move that back a little? Why not have both? This would have been fun. I think a lot of this though is me wanting this because Orton versus Triple H ended up sucking at Mania, but Austin in 09 at 45 years old after 6 years of healing up, Yeah, these two would have went crazy. It would have been generational. It would have been so special. Yeah, I wish. I really wish. When it comes to the Undertaker streak, there are three big what ifs, or I guess four, okay? The first one is, what if the streak never ended? The second one would be, what if there never was a streak? And this third one is, what if Cena and Undertaker went at it in their primes? Which sadly, it was never even rumored or ever really planned seriously. But fourth, what if at WrestleMania 27, we got Sting versus The Undertaker? Sting versus The Undertaker is one of the, if not the biggest what if match in wrestling history. No matter how much Sting and Taker might try to downplay and say it might have sucked and it was going to be like this and that, I don't care. This is one of the biggest dream matches ever, and it felt like every year in the early to mid 2010s, it was like, holy shit, is this the year Sting pulls up? And it's so crazy to look back at early 2011, especially February 2011, and remember how excited everyone was for Sting to possibly join the company and take on The Undertaker. When they aired this promo on Raw hyping up to 2111, there is nothing you could have told me then, and there's nothing you can even tell me now, that this wasn't a promo aired to build hype for Sting versus The Undertaker. This promo is so similar to classic WCW Sting promos. Sting had just become a free agent, nobody knew who Taker was going to take on at WrestleMania 27, and the show was in Atlanta, WCW country. The stars were literally aligned, and to me, this always seemed like the company putting this out there to kind of test the waters and build hype, not just for the fans, but probably for Sting too. Like, hey, look at how the people are reacting. They're eating this up. Come, sign with us. Let's do the match. And yo, there were just so many rumors at the time. There was so much fuel to the fire that on February 2nd, the New York Daily Times reported it that Sting had officially signed a one-year contract with the company. So when the promo aired, like, it got even more hype and people analyzed it to death. Oh my god, it's raining, it's the same boots, it's the trench coat, it's this. Obviously it ended up being Taker, but at the time we were just grasping for anything to be like, yeah, it's Sting. And once I think Sting didn't sign, that's when the company probably pivoted and they released more promos where it's obvious that, yeah, it's just Undertaker return promo, guys, nothing to see here. But listen, I was 13 years old at the time. I was all over wrestling forums and websites just every day praying that Sting had signed, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are too young to remember or weren't on the internet back then, but when this promo aired, it was one of the first things that really set the internet wrestling community on fire. Every Facebook post, every site you can imagine, Twitter, I'm sure MySpace was blowing up, Bleacher Report was like, holy shit, Sting, and it truly was the perfect time, and I don't think either party will ever speak to how close it really was. They always deny it, and they always downplay the match to make it seem like it was going to be like the worst match ever, which, guys, relax, okay? First of all, it's fake. Second, you guys would have been fine. Third, the crowd would have done 80% of the work to make it a classic. I don't know, I just go back to this time and look at the rumors, the reports, and just see how excited everyone was on YouTube comments and everything. I think this was a lot closer than they would have ever have us believing. What if? I really wish this went down. Another what if that comes to mind is, what if they went with the original plan and had Cena just beat The Rock at WrestleMania 28? How different everything would have been. WrestleMania 29 would have ended up being vastly different and probably way better. We probably would have got Punk versus Cena, and we probably would have got Brock versus Rock. And another similar one is, what if they went with the original plan at WrestleMania 31 and just had Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar, but then did the cash in after that? For 7 years after this match, okay, which we know this was fire, it was a great match, it was lightning in a bottle, the company went mentally insane trying to capture that magic again and force Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns down our throat and try to get Roman over by beating Brock. It was like the never-ending saga of our lives. The original plan for this match was for Roman to win and win the title. His whole family was there and they went nuts when he lost. Everyone thought Roman was winning. I'm sure Roman thought he was going to win 99%, but he didn't, and Seth stole the show. But what if, even just for 2 minutes, they had Roman slay the dragon, they had him pin Brock Lesnar 1, 2, 3, and then Seth cashed in on him? Yo, maybe then for 7 years we wouldn't have been tortured with this and like watch them bend over backwards try to get Roman's lick back. Maybe your society would have been 10 times better if they had just had Roman pin Lesnar and then do the shenanigans. Nah, what am I saying? Vince definitely would have found a way. Yeah, no, we were destined to be fucking depressed. But yeah, those are some of the fun what ifs that I could find. There are obviously many more famous ones that we've all heard, right? Like, of course, Hogan and Flair not main eventing WrestleMania 8 is one of the stupidest decisions they've ever made. How do you not run that match? You know, the plan of Eddie versus HBK at WrestleMania 22, it's always heartbreaking to hear. They would have tore the house down. That would have been a classic. There's what if the streak never ended? What if this person ended the streak? What if WrestleMania 36 went down as originally planned with fans? Does Roman and Goldberg tear the house down? Probably not, but does that mean we never get a heel Roman Reigns, or how long does it take for Roman to turn heel then? That's a pretty huge one. If I missed some other big ones, you know, let me know. I just didn't want to repeat the same ones over and over again. I just wanted to have some fun with this video. But yeah, you know, let me know in the comments down below if I missed any. But yeah, those are some of the biggest what ifs in WrestleMania history. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's your boy Pav. I hope you guys learned something new in here. Hope you guys had some fun. And hopefully you're not too depressed at things that almost happened. Because, yo, I feel you. I definitely feel you. But it's your boy Pav, and I'll see you guys soon with the next one very, very soon. Till then, though, take it easy. And yeah, stay safe out there, guys. See you very soon. Later, everyone.